Hey yo, what is up guys, it's your boy Tway here. Today I'll be showing you guys a video on remaining energy versus surge. The reason why is I get a lot of questions on what do I play, why do I play it, and what would be the absolute best. And the other part is to theorize why the majority of the Korean people are actually using remaining energy instead of surge. However, in no way, shape or form am I associated with any Korean player that gave me the information. I just hypothesized anything that I could get my hands on, and this is what I came up with. So do take it with a grain of salt. Let's start off with the very basics. Both of your class engraving have something to do with your class identity, but they are vastly different. Let's start off with the very basics. Once you look at your class engravings, they all have to do something with your identity skill. And to gain the identity skill full 3 bars, what you have to do is you have to simply pop skills, hit a boss with it, and once you get yourself 3 orbs for both of the builds, you will be able to then use your class identity. Once you press it, you can press it once again, you get a damaging skill out of it. To get your meter up faster, you get more specialization. With that comes a factor that is very good, and that is a higher cooldown reduction the moment you press your identity skill. Means if I unloaded all of my skills at some point and decide to do my identity skill, all of these skills will be technically reset if I get a ridiculous amount of specialization. This is one of the factors where I believe one is better than the other. But let's go to the first class engraving, which would be surge. The moment I hit myself my class identity, it will then say every single hit that you do excluding auto attacks will generate stacks. These stacks go all the way up to 20, and there is a skill that is very required of you to have in this build, and that is at least have the wind cut. The reason why it does a multitude amount of hits even when you're not around, which is a very neat factor. And what I am doing is I'm using the time that my identity skill has to then once again pop it after 20 stacks. After I wait for a little bit, the stacks generate more meter once again, and I can repop the skill and go try this all over, which means more hits, more crits, more damage, and I can simply fill that rotation in just like this. And that is all great. But this comes obviously with a downside, is that bosses aren't as stationary as this monster is, which means that I have a very limited time window in where I need to do my damage. If the boss just roars at you at the particular time, the chances of you not getting the stacks that you want is likely your damage will drastically decrease, and that is the downside to this engraving. Remaining energy, on the other hand, is vastly different. The moment I press my identity skill and I press it once again, I get myself a buff for 30 seconds depending on how many bars of meter I have. Which means that currently on 3 bars I get remaining energy, a level 3 for 30 seconds, movement speed, attack speed, and attack power increase. And the way to use this is the moment I get my 3 bars, I yank my skill out of here, do a lot of damage, and then I am looking for skills that do damage but not generate as much meter. Wait for my maelstrom to come up because maelstrom gives me extra energy. That way within a few skills I can reset the meter once again, yank this skill out, do some DPS skills while I'm at it, put these up there, watch my maelstrom come back up once again, and simply do my damage. Obviously this is not the most optimal build because some of these skills that are in here make absolutely no sense, but I think you have the general idea of what this does. So for a too long day read, remaining energy revolves around you resetting your cooldowns as many times often, which generate also a party buff, which is the maelstrom, which will increase not only your damage but the party damage as well. But here's where the theory comes in. If you don't have much specialization, would remaining energy be as good as surge? I would say no. Reason why is because you cannot generate as much meter as you would like to then reset your skills, to then even have more cooldown reduction on top of it to keep spamming your skills. Surge, on the other hand, has no requirements to do any of that, because if you do get 20 stacks, you need no specialization at all. Technically, it's still not smart to do this, but you don't necessarily need it. So putting that perspective out there, especially if you don't have enough specialization, and this comes up with various situations, transferring your gear from tier 2 to tier 3, having absolutely no decent accessories, which turned as 1200 to 800, maybe even less, then I would say remaining energy has no place in your build. However, there's another downside to surge, is that bosses gradually become harder. There are several points where you are not forgiven if you are getting hit, which means that if you are taking risks to get your 20 stacks, get hit into the process, the likelihood of you dying is very likely. And I can only imagine that the Korean community builds around the team more than it does into individual damage, which means that if you are dying, it makes no sense. If you do Brachel's Legion raid and get hit every single time because you're trying to get your surge stacks in, guess what? The team is gonna wipe. And the other neat factor is Maelstrom, because if you can reset this as many times often, your whole party is getting this buff, which is absolutely crazy. And you don't do this with Surge. Reason why is because you are limited by the amount of stacks that you can dish out, where your skills aren't going to do more hits than they usually do. The amount of time that it takes to apply will not increase as much as your specialization can increase your meter gain. And then there might be one thing that is maybe even less obvious, and that would be wealth runes. Wealth runes will give you more specialty meter the moment you get them. So the moment you get yourself your 5th Omnium Star, get this wealth rune, like, it will vastly increase your remaining energy build. And for those of you who are unaware, the moment you get to tier 3, you will be able to increase some of these skills, among which is the orb control, which gains you more meter in the process. Same can be said for Maelstrom, where you get 22% more meter gain for all of your skills. So taking all of these things into account, I would say Surge is better for the early game, because the bosses aren't as hard. You will be able to just whack all of your skills there while not dying as much in the process. Your party doesn't necessarily need a lot of extra damage, buffs or whatever, because you're gonna dish all of the damage and you see big crits on your screen. Yes, Surge would be better, but I think overall, summarizing all of this, that remaining energy at the absolute end game is going to be better in the longer run. So if you want to plan out with your engravings, this is something that you can take into account. However, I could be vastly wrong. I could be taking some things into consideration that I haven't even thought about. If I did, put it down into the comments, let me know, because I try to learn as well. That being said, if you found this video helpful, entertaining, or anything of that matter, please don't hesitate to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. That being said, have a very nice day, and I'll see you guys into the next one. Peace.